Alrighty. So we got another Jubilee video. Um, they like to cover these social justice and social issue related topics such as race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And a lot of times, sometimes just like parent and kids, related issues. But today they're talking about feminists and how that relates to the the gender debate, how it relates to abortion, menstrual products, and they cover various topics within this video. So let's just jump right into it. And yeah, I didn't like it because it's not that they didn't have a neutral platform, but it's that my side, the people on my side, I don't think really gave the best arguments, or just gave very simple, like nuanced definitions of what I believe.
And also, and now,
So much respect to them for trying.
Right, so for you, it is the ability to create life, and that's basically what makes you a woman.
Femininity and womanhood is so much more than just, getting dressed up and putting on makeup and just the way I feel. It's who I am on a biological level.
And she actually just repeated what he said, but tried to make it sound better. Like she literally does say, like like, oh, being a woman is what you are on a biological level. Okay, so the ability to create children, the ability to create offspring. So that's what the most important thing, or that's all what being a woman means to you. That's what he's saying, and she's just clarifying it, but trying to make it sound good when it's not. So that is the one really good pushback that he makes throughout this episode, and he is, I would say, is probably the most well versed, like among all of them, except for the trans man. He's pretty base too, which we'll get into that.
Men can be feminist. 3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie that says men can be feminists too. I feel like I have to be over here.
I think most men that are feminists are like usually either lazy, virtue signaling, just want to see tits, or access to easy sex.
I think it depends on your definition of feminism. Like modern day feminism, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Like traditional feminism, like advocating for, traditional femininity and non-discrimination in the workplace. Like I think those things men can agree with.
I see what you're saying when you're like, there's this.
See, traditional femininity can also be seen as submissive. It could be she's one of the most conservative feminists on this episode, and a lot of times traditional femininity can be conflated, with like being a trad wife, basically. And I think that's the kind of feminist she is. She opposes trans women. She opposes abortion. And that's what a lot of these, so-called traditional feminists see themselves as, and don't really see feminism as like being accepting of all people, regardless of their gender identity or self-expression.
Performative feminism that a lot of guys do. So if a male feminist is like, oh, I only support like women, and it's just only about that, but he's not even talking about how like feminism needs to support men, or like trans people or whatever, then there is a performativeness to it.
And part of feminism is supporting men's issues, like male suicide, and push and the traditional role of men, like holding in their feelings and just letting it build up and not being clear about that. Holding in their feelings, expecting them to basically be like supportive robots. Like who work 80 hours a week to support the family, and are just like beyond mentally resilient. There's yeah. And some more men's feminism. Feminism, men's issues. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, parenting, domestic violence, but also against men. So yeah, a lot of men face domestic violence because they're expected never to hit women back, and they shouldn't, But you shouldn't hit people in any case. But yeah, there's all kinds of men's issues, and but as far as fake male feminists, I don't believe in if the only fake male feminist is one that simply puts on like the face that they believe in men's issues and women's issues and feminism in general, but are just trying to get a partner, that believes that, or just trying to score a partner, like a hot feminist partner that believes in actually believes in those values. Sometimes the men, it's actually pretty cringe, like. A lot of men won't just adopt, like feminism, but like any ideology. Like, oh, like, do you remember that episode where the guy pretends to be pro-life and he goes around? It's in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, pro-life episode. So he goes around with this girl who's so he's pro-choice, but he puts on this face as though he's pro-life because he meets this really hot girl who's a Christian or something. And she's against abortion, and yeah, he just follows her around like a lapdog, and he doesn't really believe in it. But that's a lot of things that guys do, is they just do whatever it takes to score, and it's really cringe. You should find a partner that reflects your values, that reflects yourself as a person, not do what this guy is doing. And I don't consider them a real feminists if they do just put on that face.
White feminist voices are too loud. 3, 2, 1, go.
And right before we jump into it, I'm just going to say, it does not matter dick what your race is. You can believe in feminist values if you like. If a lot of times, there is the stereotype that feminists are white liberals, that have crazy hair, and they all go to Harvard and live in California and stuff. But it's more than that, and just because certain ideology has a traditionally specific view of what a feminist looks like, sometimes those expectations can be betrayed.
I somewhat agree, like that white feminist voices are too loud, but then I think that they become really good at using black women or black faces when they want to, push their movement further.
And that is a real problem in many ideologies. Conservatives like to prop up black voices, like on the basis that they're black conservatives. Like they say, look at Candace Owen, she's black and she's a conservative, and she doesn't believe in what traditionally, like, oh, black people are expected to believe. There's like, oh, the Democratic plantation. They say that all black people should vote Democrat so they can because they're victims and should be on welfare and stuff. But look at Candace Owen. Did I mention that she's black and she's conservative? Like, who fucking cares? Like, you believe what you want to believe regardless of your race. If you think that your specific ideology is more inclusive and is race blind, which I think which I think that people should be race blind. Like, really, when it comes down to it, race is it's not the same as ethnicity, which is inducive of your culture and lifestyle and your environment. But it's just arbitrary pigmentation and skull shapes, and that's really all it is. And I do believe that real feminism is when you are colorblind. Yeah, it's not just that. I'm sorry, I only gave example of conservative and Candace Owens, but yeah, some, there Democrats do. A lot of them do look at black conservatives sometimes as like they say what they call it, Uncle Ruckus or Uncle Tom. I think that's very problematic. I don't think we should be using that kind of language. Although they say, oh, Uncle Tom can mean like just someone who is against their own interests. Well, what do you know what their interests are? Motherfucker, like that's also. So in both cases, they're using tokenism, or they're just they're just using race to validate or invalidate an ideology in one way or another. That is ridiculous. And race has nothing to do with feminism. It's except for creating equality between the races, because that's really all it comes down to.
I agree that it's probably not balanced, and I think it probably needs to be more equal. I guess the reason why I'm at somewhat disagree is just because I'm hesitant to say that anyone speaking up for their views is too loud.
I think that's
Exactly.
fine. I can
She's
definitely
totally
see
right
what
about
you're
that.
saying. I just hate like when some of these movements use black women when it's convenient for them.
There's not
See, both of those
about
points are
the
right. Both of
Latina
those points are totally
immigrants that
valid,
are
actually.
treated on the feminist movement. You know, it's always about either the pro-choice side or something else that it's more interesting to white.
When you think of feminism,
And Latinas should also care about their right to abortion. As we said, it may be interesting to, that white people may be on average more pro-choice than Latinas or Latinos, or Hispanics in general. But that doesn't mean that I'm not right about that issue that should be applied across the board, like indifferent to race.
you usually think of a white lady, and I think that's still
As he says,
perpetuated, even though
it's
there
a
be, like, a lot of
stereotype.
black women behind the scenes doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and often are in a lot of civil rights movements. White women have certain rights they need through feminism as other people, but they're just always taken more seriously by everyone.
And I don't know about that. I think that it depends on an individual level. Like some feminists do have louder voices than others. Like regardless, I'd say maybe Oprah's a feminist. She's she despite being in controversy recently, she's a very loud voice. She is a very loud voice, and she's going to have a lot more influence on her, what she takes as feminist takes, as opposed to some blue-haired lady in a California university who calls herself a feminist. So there's many different factors.
I'll read off a list of public figures, and you'll go to your left if you believe the person to be a feminist, or the right if you don't think they're a feminist. Kim Kardashian.
I wouldn't say that she isn't a feminist. I don't think that's her number one thing.
She went from doing her show and the whole like sex scandal thing to like, now she's
Sexual freedom. That's also very helpful. Being a feminist, you gotta respect sexual liberation.
working in law and civil rights, and she's done the whole family thing. Ultimately, I think that Kim Kardashian is a woman that
But cheating is wrong. Just saying.
has like done what she's wanted to do.
Yep.
Amy Coney Barrett.
I don't have much of an opinion on Kardashian. She's optically it does look good. And it does prove, women can have very influential, powerful positions and be wealthy. We have female billionaires, and that is good for women's rights, on a base level. But, it does come down to more than that. Amy Coney Barrett, she is just like Hillary Clinton. Just because you're a woman in power does not mean that you are good for women's rights or good for or feminist, issues like LGBT and trans. She's a hardcore Christian conservative. That's just C. Just take a look at her record real quick. Controversies. Yeah, restricting abortions. That's mostly what the problem is with her is restricting abortions. But a hard line on immigration. And yeah. So yeah, just because you are a woman does not mean that you are good for feminist issues. It's like the whole more female dictators meme, like with Kim Jong-un's sister.
Amy Coney Barrett, in my opinion, is like the epitome of a feminist. She's literally like a Supreme Court justice in like the highest court of the land, and she totally disproves the narrative that women have to choose between having a career and a family.
I don't really agree with her a lot on the political stances, but I think more so as just being a role model.
No, it does disprove that. People have to have a balance of both. You can't. It's hard to have a family if you don't have a job to support yourself. And as far as getting rid of the image that women should stay in the house and just be caregivers. We have defeated that debate.
for women to be on a level of the Supreme Court where it's primarily dominated by men?
J.K. Rowling.
3 years ago, I would have said yes, and there's still a lot of reasons I would. She was a single mom.
This is where they start to get super wrong. The females.
Wrote all the books. She became a billionaire. The reason I would say kind of no now is her just kind of weird anti-trans.
Exactly, and she didn't just write an she didn't just go anti-trans, but she's been like doubling and tripling, quadrupling down on it, and even wrote a full-ass manifesto. Just to give context. All I want is for similar empathy, similar understanding to be extended to the many millions of women whose sole crime is wanting their concerns to be heard without receiving threats and abuse. And who is receiving the threats and abuse but trans women who just want to use the fucking bathroom, who just want to be identified as the person they're... Like, J.K. Rowling has never once had to go around and have her question whether she was a real woman. J.K. Rowling has never had to receive that kind of harassment. And just like all of the abundance of TERFs out there, have not had to face, women's issues the way trans women have. And naturally, trans women have not had to go through periods, but those are different problems, and trans women should, respect those problems that cis women have, and cis women should respect the problems that trans women have. And all women are going to have, different problems in their life, just like everyone is going to have unique problems in their life based on their own identity and biological traits.
Zealotry she's gotten involved in that kind of undercuts a lot of her other feminist stuff.
I mean, I
Exactly.
disagree that.
I mean, I don't know if it undermines other active. Like, let's say if I do activism for abortion, but I hate trans people. It's better than being against abortion and trans people. But at least, I mean, that is my perspective. You can think that, like, someone's shitty take on one take invalidates their other opinions, but I do sort of disagree with that. I do like to see the good in people, as you can say. I like to give credit where credit is due. So let's continue.
Just for the fact that she expresses her own opinions, and now people like literally crucified her and really want to put her under and undermine everything she has done.
That's called social justice, and it is very acceptable. It is very acceptable to censor and deplatform people who are spreading discrimination and hate towards marginalized groups who have committed the crime of doing what they want with their own lives and bodies.
It's just she has such a big platform that when you're talking
Exactly.
like this, very extreme.
And when you have that large platform, you have a certain amount of responsibility, not to use that platform to spread hate and discrimination and make the world a worse place for many people. Yeah.
Stuff about a marginalized group. That's really the issue.
Or you can just, I don't know, work by yourself. You can stay out of society. You can work from home and support yourself, and maybe a log cabin in the woods or something. You can just, fuck off forever.
Why should women with a platform be forced to align with the mainstream narrative of what it means to be a woman and a feminist? Why can't her own personal journey...
See this phrasing right here. Her own personal journey. If that's what it comes down to, then you should totally, respect the personal journey of trans women who have to go undergo discrimination as well, and trans men. It's not your personal journey to and try to invalidate the personal journey of another person. So you're actually just defeating your own argument right here.
be enough?
It really.
What'd she say a second ago?
Not
Fuck, I missed the other. I missed the other point she made.
Be forced to align with the mainstream.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you're not forcing. It's not force. Like if you're saying, okay, if you push this ignorant, hateful stuff, then we're going to get you fired. We're going to get you deplatformed. It's force if you put someone in prison and make them not be able to express their opinions. Like the government should not intervene with your free speech, but it's a different thing. if we decide not to put up with your bullshit, by not allowing to have your bullshit in our society. No one's forcing you to say those ignorant, hateful things. You're doing that of your own volition, and you're facing the social consequences for that.
Narrative.
If you want to call that force, be on, fine then. I guess I'm fine with the force. Be one with the force.
But what it means to be a woman.
Right.
Not that it's an opinion, it's that she's spreading a lot of dangerous misinformation.
But based on
Exactly.
what, though? Because
Based on the consensus of the World Health Organization, of the CDC, of the academic and scientific and medical community, like overwhelmingly, gender definition, though it is used interchangeably, either of the two sexes, it does say that, but especially when considered with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. A range of identities that do not correspond to established ideas of male and female. Range of characteristics pertaining to femininity and masculinity. It may include sex-based social structures and gender identity. That's so the WHO has to say. Sorry, I should have pulled up all the tabs, prior before. I have those other tabs for the subjects later on in the video. But characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. CDC definition. Let's see the CDC definition. Cultural roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes. Expected of people based on their sex. But it's expected. It doesn't say that it is their sex. How an individual chooses to present their gender to others through physical appearance and behaviors, such as hair, dress, voice, or movement. That is your Sorry, I didn't highlight that. That is called your gender expression, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm going to continue the video.
you don't agree with it?
No, it's scientific facts. Like, she's just talking about stuff that's incorrect.
Yep.
And her ideas about trans men have affected legislation that harms trans men getting the resources they need.
Yep.
Trans women are women. 3, 2, 1.
Look at that stupid smug look on her face before she walks the wrong direction.
I think we're all just positioned here based on our political beliefs, and as for how we see
Yep.
the LGBTQ.
I mean, I think it's also split between, all the men are on that side and all the women are on this side.
Except she just acknowledged a biological female as a man. Oh, you get fucking wrecked, girl. Holy shit. And, it's not about that. It's that conservative women have an emotional fragility. They see trans women as entering their spaces, which is rooted in fear and hatred of trans women, and that doesn't disprove that them not being biologically female doesn't make them a woman. That it doesn't. Shit, I was struggling how to word that, but you get my point. It is like in the civil rights era, you had a bunch of fragile white bitches say, I don't want this, I don't want these black girls sharing the same bathrooms as me, sharing the same universities. I'm scared. The big black girls are gonna hurt me.
I know,
and
being a woman, that there are certain things that we have to deal.
And that is inducive of their attitude. Conservative, so-called feminist attitude about trans women.
With as women, that people who are not, biologically women don't have to deal with. I mean, we
Biologically female.
have to deal with having our periods and go through that really awkward stage when we're 13.
Do you like periods? I mean, you'd be one of the rare few.
And people who are
Yeah. And this bitch right here, says that is on that side, would be facing the same discrimination from white bitches in the 50s, if we go back. But 70 years, yeah, if we just went back to that time, and yet here we are, formerly discriminated class, uses their platform to discriminate other minorities. It's pretty shitty.
Trans women don't have to go through that.
Trans women live
Cis women also don't have to go through the discrimination of being trans women.
their entire lives as
Exactly.
women. They don't turn it off. It's not something that they're turning off. And then to come up to them and say, oh yeah, I see you doing this, but you're not a woman. It's kind of insulting.
How do you live your life as a woman?
Let me show you. I don't know, maybe like that. Long hair, makeup, pretty face, boobs, I don't know, hormones, dress like a woman, you portray yourself as a woman, have earrings.
Because every single time somebody says that, they name the most stereotypical things. It's like putting on a
Stereotypical things, you mean like having a vagina?
dress, putting on makeup.
What the fuck is you doing, bitch? You have a dress, you have that weave, you have those nails, you have that attitude. Those are things that that is reflective of your personality as a woman. Not a very likable one, but no, needless to say, yeah, that is how you are portraying yourself as a woman.
Like putting on a dress, putting on makeup. It's biological. I was
So
born
all
a
it is
woman.
is
I
biological.
can't be a man.
So
I
if
can't be
it's
a man no matter how.
100%.
So if you decide to take hormones and grow out a beard and portray yourself like this, then tell me that you could look at that person without knowing that they're trans and not be able to say that's a man, without having that that prior knowledge, give it about their biology given to you, without knowing that they have a uterus and XX chromosomes that you cannot see, like visually, like looking at them.
Much I try, I
Biological,
can't be you.
and it's just chromosomes, and that's it.
Are the differences just chromosomes, just having children? That's like so hurtful and discriminatory against women, because femininity and womanhood is so much more than just, getting dressed up and putting on makeup and just the way I feel. It's
Yeah, and if you're telling me that to be honest and trustworthy, authentic and genuine, independent, intelligent and curious, confident, supportive, and all the abundance of social qualities and characteristics that define someone's identity as a woman and the way they see themselves through these characteristics, defining them, that is meaningless, then you are the one insulting them and their identity as a woman. If you looking at yourself and saying, okay, so I have a vagina and I have a uterus and I have these things that I have the ability to make a baby, that's what makes you a woman. That's great. That's what makes you a woman to you. These are what makes many women and many trans women and women to them. They look at themselves, and I could be a man and say, oh, I'm honest and trustworthy, that's what makes me a man. Or I could say, I'm honest and trustworthy, and that makes me a woman. That is, that in fact, your gender is a costume. It is the way you portray yourself and your self-expression, your gender expression, whether the fuck you like it or not, because that is the scientific and academic and medical consensus, and you can just choke on it.
it's who I am on a biological level.
It's who you are on a cultural level. It's who you are on an individual identity level.
Right. So for you, it is the ability to create life, and that's basically what makes you.
Exactly. This is the best point he makes. And then, as I said in the beginning of the video, she just goes and tries to twist it into a way that makes it sound like way better than it actually is. Like, I'm gonna throw some words in there, maybe like cognitive dissonance or something. It's just absolutely fucking wrecked. If you're if what it means to be a woman to you is that you have a vagina and you can have kids, and that's the most important thing, that's great. That's what it means to you to be a woman. But that is honestly much more insulting to all of the women who work hard to develop their social lives, their personality, and to become a better person, who see themselves as women because they have a combination or any number of the great characteristics that make them a woman. It is so insulting to say like, okay, we're just we're just bricks. They're just things are just the way they are, and we haven't built up our own identity. We haven't built up our own cultures and lifestyles. It's just that's all it means to be a woman is looking what's between your legs. It is the irony is astounding. How insulting she's being, while and insulting herself too.
To a woman.
What makes you a man, or would you consider yourself a man? I probably should.
Yeah,
ask, 'cause
I was born a man.
That-
I behave as a man. I carry
So
myself.
what would I
Exactly.
have to do to
As
be a man like you?
So
I want to be
Take
a
a
man.
fucking
we
Google
both
search
agree
and
that
look,
our
bitch.
Society has things that men generally do, things that women generally do, right? If you start to fall on one side of the spectrum versus the other side of the spectrum, then you're going to be treated as that gender.
I think it's a little
Exactly.
that we're looking at it as such a basic requirement, more so that, I mean, humans are much more evolved than any other animal, so why are we still using just the requirement of, well, if that person has a penis, he's a male, or that person has a vagina?
Because conservatives posing as feminists like this are living in the fucking Stone Age, and basically want to reduce the social roles of people to be, like, male, female, child, minivan, bring bread, wine, holding feelings, work hard, live in kitchen.
They're a female.
I think you're a masculine woman or a feminine man. That doesn't
Does that look like a
mean
masculine
that
woman to
gender.
you?
And to try to like deny just basic biological facts, we all learn this in high school.
Who is?
Like, let's stop acting like it's something new.
Who is denying that they are
different numbers,
biologically
like the
male or
big thing to
female?
say.
I think there's like a lot of confusion.
Not trans women,
of
not trans men.
Being female versus being a woman. Being female is chromosomal, it's what you're born as. Being a woman
Exactly.
is a societal construct.
It's not the trans people and the people on the correct side that are saying that that gender and sex are the same thing, like these people are. Sex. You already have your word that has existed for thousands of years, and gender. Sorry, it's auto filling the other parts. See, the understanding of gender expression has not really come more largely understood until recent years, and that's because with the development of the scientific revolution and the industrial boom, and we grow to learn more about society and culture and life as time progresses. Hopefully, we will learn more. We will know more about society like 100 years from now. I'll assume it'll be a lot different. But the understanding of sex has been around for since the beginning of time, and we haven't really grown to understand these social dynamics, until recent years, and it's a little redundant to want to claim both words for the same thing. Sex and gender to claim both for the same thing. So we have sex, which defines all of those things, and the burden is on you to prove why gender describes the same thing. You don't just get the benefit of the doubt here. You have to tell me why the WHO is wrong. You have to tell me why the CDC is wrong. And just saying like, oh, just look at your biology. It's just not enough, honey. It's just not enough.
They can align, like yours obviously all align. Like you pointed over here, you're like, all the men over here. The first 30 years of my life, I was a woman. I transitioned.
Called the fuck out!
A disconnect with what you're born as and what you feel you should
So
be.
gender dysphoria.
Yes.
Okay, I can believe that.
No, she fucking doesn't. They believe that gender dysphoria is just a mental illness, and they're mentally deluded, people.
100% could believe that. Yeah.
If it was just like,
They think that gender dysphoria is just something that can be cured and you can accept who you really are or something, when you basically have the brain of a person of the opposite sex in the wrong body.
like, I just wanted to be a masculine woman, then sure, that's easy to do. But that didn't work. I'm not going to say I'm male. I wasn't born with XY. That'll never change. And no trans person will ever tell you they're biologically born that way, because if anyone knows anything about biology, it's trans people. That's why
Exactly.
they take hormones and do all this other stuff. and it doesn't take away your womanhood if someone else is a different type of woman. It's a different experience that shouldn't
As I
make
say,
you feel less of a woman if they're around or vice versa.
Do you all feel like the feminist movement should be fighting for trans women within that movement?
I mean, it should be fighting for everyone's genders, whether they're trans women,
Exactly.
trans men, cis men, or non-binary people. That's just part of feminism.
I don't think so.
I don't think feminism includes all identities and groups and equality across the board. I think feminism is when we fight for people with vaginas to be on top and trans women to kneel at our feet in my weave.
defeats the entire movement.
Every feminist should be pro-choice. 3, 2, 1, go.
Just immediately, like, personally, you can call yourself a feminist while fighting against feminist struggles and feminist issues, but all it comes down to is that you've been brainwashed by the conservative, / religious, philosophical arguments around abortion. The fact is, fetuses develop the brain capacity of a fucking fruit fly. By the time they're 21 weeks old, and they've reached gestation and all those other terms that come to the spinal cord is attached to the brain. They're developing their basic primordial brain wave movements and shit. That's what's going on. And just because we relate to the aesthetic human body more than we do the aesthetic of the fruit fly's body does not mean that it's different somehow. Like, just because it will become a grown sentient adult if left untouched doesn't mean that we should cede to the so-called rights of a being with the brain capacity of a fruit fly. And to say, like, okay, so they crush the brain of they crush the brain and pull it out and rip the organs and lungs and eat this liver with lima beans and squeeze the jelly from their eyes. Ugh. It's like aesthetically really gross. I get it. Like, medical procedures are gross and hideous. I know, I understand, honey. But the fact is, it's healthcare. It's a right because it's your body. And when other people's autonomy are within your autonomy, then their autonomy comes second. Your autonomy comes first. I'm sorry. It's your body is your property. It's property rights. It's autonomy. It's all in one. Fuck the fetus. Fetus gonna die. Die, baby. Yeet that fetus. Skeetus deletus.
I consider myself to be a pro-life feminist, and I think
brainwashed
that
feminist.
The idea that we can tell women that they can't identify as feminists unless they say that they're pro-choice goes totally against everything that feminism stands for.
I mean, aesthetically, she's so angelic. This is the costume that pro-life feminists put on. They do portray that traditional, feminine beauty, as they would say, really well. But then they just angelically spread, this insane level of ignorance about real women's issues.
And I think there's actually something that's beautiful about womanhood and women in general.
Let's take a look here. So, if there's 0.44 deaths per 100,000 abortion procedures in the U.S. that are well regulated between 2013 and 2017, and the WHO said, okay, so this is the University of Colorado, credits to them. The WHO says that 4.7 to 13.2% of maternal deaths can be attributed to unsafe abortion. In developed regions, it's 30 women die for every 100,000 abortions. So when abortion is illegal, it goes up over 60 times. Over 6,000%, of deaths, when abortions are illegal compared to legal. And they're going to get them in, and they're going to get the abortions anyway. I'm sorry, this is one thing I forgot to look up. Like, also forgot about the number that shows, the rate of abortion where it's illegal. I know it goes down a little bit, but not as much. Not nearly enough to make up for the 60 times rate. But 48% of abortions are unsafe. Just looking at face value right here. How many abortions in Latin America? 3.4 million illegal induced abortions in Latin America. Is that per year? I'm willing to bet that's per year. But that's a lot. How many abortions in America every year? Last year. About 13.5. So yeah, it's not much different. Not much different, no.
It's something that
Certainly not enough to make up for 60 times.
Modern feminism has kind of been a little exclusionary because
Bitch! While you tried right there trying to exclude trans people, holy shit!
women come from all different.
Did when the trans man said that femininity should be inclusive to all genders and people, and he said no, I don't really think so. That's not what it is. And you're trying to like doing the Uno reverse card. Shut the fuck up.
Backgrounds
You and your fucking weave. Shut the fuck up.
Support the freedom of choice, the freedom of speech, regardless.
That's
of
rich.
the lifestyle.
That's
that
fucking
women
rich.
choose.
If you personally feel you're pro-life, that's fine.
And I'm not discriminated against her for her weave. She's just, weave is not a protected class. Shut the fuck up. I don't care. Her weave is fucking stupid.
Feminism as a movement should be pro-choice to allow anyone to choose whatever path.
No, I guess it's all right. It is separate from her shitty opinions. So, if she was a nice girl, I would probably view her weave as better.
Want to have, whether they want to have children or not have children or have abortions or whatever. But if feminism is pro-life, then you've blocked one group of people from choosing whether they want to have abortions or their own family planning.
Exactly.
One of the pushbacks that I would just love to give is I believe that abortion is wildly discriminatory against women and against people with disabilities.
Except women is a social characteristic, and women is a social construct, and fetuses are not women because they have not developed that status as a man or woman or basically anything. They're basically just brain dead fruit flies.
Baby girls are aborted at a higher rate, which is so sexist, and so I really don't think that you can.
They're not girls, they're fetuses.
Because these are discriminatory practices.
So I am pro-choice.
What a joke.
I feel like somebody should have whatever type of choice that they want to make. They should have an equal say as far as, hey, this is my body. I want to be able to have an abortion, or just as equally, I want to say I'm going to have this baby. So, and I do believe it's 100% up to the woman. A feminist should probably be more aligned with giving someone their own choice.
Menstrual products should be free. 3.
This is just a capitalism debate. This is just an economics position. Like, the question should be, it's not discrimination to not provide a positive freedom to someone. Although, in some cases, I think that they could be free. And since it is since half the population does need them, then perhaps they should be free because it's a life necessity, much like food and housing and stuff. I do believe that necessity should be paid for by taxes.
2, 1, go.
Just being able
Of course, because they're fucking conservatives.
to provide, for example, on the low-income schools, there's a lot of girls that cannot afford them, and they're ashamed to ask for it.
I mean, I personally believe that
Seriously, what the fuck is up with reactionaries entering the space, taking over the feminist movement and obfuscating everything it stands for?
anything that you didn't, I guess, ask for, like menstrual cycles or even.
I'm gonna apologize for my comments on her weave. That was uncalled for. But that is part of growing and learning as society changes, is knowing what's right and wrong instead of sticking your head in your ass and saying no. Women have been biological since the beginning of time, and that's the way things have always been, and that's the way I'm going to see it. That's the difference between taking a caveman approach and taking a progressive approach to it. So yeah. And I'm not going to be canceled because I don't give a shit, and also I don't believe in the. I don't believe people can be redeemed. So if someone is discriminatory towards trans people or sex, protected classes, then they can maybe they'll be deplatformed, but they can be redeemed, and I don't think it's constructive to just damn people for life for their best behaviors. Ancient tweets, they should be able to redeem themselves. But most of the time they don't, and they just to continue on with their shitty with the destructive behavior.
I mean, if we get into healthcare, I think that should all be added on.
I believe.
What I mean is you can't push people out. You can't push people away from your side by saying, no, you can never be redeemed, you can never change your ways. Like, that is one thing I'm going to add to this discussion.
That everyone should be compensated for their labor, and I believe that creating and producing.
I just realized I'm talking about something that had absolutely nothing to do with the with this episode at all, but a little bit off track there with the tangent, but I'll just continue.
Producing menstrual products, it's a service, and that people should get paid.
Well, nobody's saying that they won't get paid because, like you said, you were born a woman. You didn't ask to have periods, so now you have to go out and pay taxes on. You have to pay more taxes than I do because I don't have to buy tampons or whatever. Yeah.
Is this like a pandemic of women like bleeding through their clothes or something? Because I've worked with low-income families. This is never an issue I've ever heard other than on social media. Now, are there instances, or may there be segments in people's lives where they need like things, or they need help, or they need the community to get behind them? Absolutely. But I don't think it's this huge crisis that everybody is making it out to be. I just have not seen it.
Every woman should be a feminist.
Everyone should be a feminist.
1, go.
Probably because they see that question as I don't know. Let's listen to what they have to say first.
Once again, I feel like that kind of goes against everything that feminism stands for by saying that.
Or at least don't have to identify as a feminist, but just have the right values that is defined by, the correct feminist values.
Woman has to think a certain way.
Every woman should be a feminist instead of.
I'm sorry, but I can't have people thinking like her. Like, you have to think my way because that's the correct way, all right? You can't be discriminating against, that there's no tolerance for intolerance. And I'm sorry, but I can't just have people, thinking the wrong way about just. I'm just playing. You can think that way, but if you speak that way, then you will be deplatformed. You'll be censored, and yeah, you can face the social repercussions of your actions.
If every woman has to be a feminist, that's kind of why I went to the strongly agree. Yes, you should be a feminist if you're a woman because you should want equal rights.
Going back, I think people have really
No one's going to mandate your political beliefs.
misinterpreted the word feminism, but most women should be feminist, but they are. I think to me they are. I don't know any woman that it's not a feminist. They don't call themselves that because of the extreme feminism. Like, for example, I like to serve my husband. That's something I like. That doesn't make me not a feminist. That's who I am. He likes to do other things, like change my tires. I will never do that. That doesn't mean I'm not a feminist,
I mean, I think that's a lot more to do with, just supporting your partner and having a reciprocal relationship stuff. But let's see, what does feminism mean? Range of socio-political movements and ideologies. So it's a mixture of ideologies, yeah? Economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. Like, there's also the debate about equality and equity. But generally, you should share a lot of the values that feminism shares. You don't have to support free on the economic side. I don't think it's terrible if you don't support the positive freedoms of certain things, but if you aren't supportive of women and girls who face rape, sexual harassment, and domestic violence, that's kind of a problem. You don't have to identify as a feminist, but you should definitely be against those things. You should definitely be supportive of abortion rights. You should definitely be supportive of gender equality. Aims to understand the nature of gender inequality by explaining women's social roles and lived experience, many of which are trans people's lived experiences. Just tell me, would it be very productive for women's rights if we forced these people into the women's bathroom who don't express themselves as women, who don't identify with being a woman? Or just, I don't think that would be very productive for women's rights. Look at that. Some of these men are more manly than me.
And that is officially a wrap, you guys.
Oh, wow.
Right. Okay, so I disliked the episode because, mainly because, the best arguments weren't put forward. I guess maybe not with the given amount of time that they had, and access to Google search right here, and with all the facts and data given. But they platform these people to spread this ignorance and hate towards gender non-binary, to push back against abortion rights, and just spread ignorance. But I do think that the allies gave some good input, and I will see you all in the next video.